Good morning, everybody. It's another day and another devotion. I believe these devotions are helping you prepare for the kingdom. We are done with the section we term the Beatitudes, from verse 1 to verse 12. And now we move on to the results of the Beatitudes. And what a true experience of righteousness looks like. And it starts off with a very interesting note. The Savior then speaks, and he says in Matthew chapter 5 verse 13, "Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of man." So, there are three things I would like us to get out of this text. We are salt. The salt loses its savor. And lastly, cast out and trodden under foot of man. So, the Bible in the book of Mark chapter 9 verse 50, it tells us that salt is good. Yeah? So Christ is calling you the salt of the earth, which means he's saying you are something that is good. But, this is Mark chapter 9 verse 50, "But if the salt have lost his saltiness, wherewith will ye season it?" And then he says, "Have salt in yourselves, and have peace one with another." So he says, have salt in yourself. And then you'll have peace one with another. So we see that the salt is the one that brings about this peace. In a world where there is a lot of corruption, strife, wickedness, Christ calls us to be salt. And one property that salt is very much well known for is its preservative property. We are to preserve. God has chosen us to save man from the consequences of a life without him. And so we are called the salt. And when men learn from the salt, they also are absorbed into this. And they then also have that salt diffuse within them. And they are preserved. And in Mark chapter 9, the results of salt is peace. The solution to many of the problems we have in this world is salt. If Christians lived a life that was in accordance with the will of God, and they diffused everywhere, we would see a different world. We would see the peace of God everywhere. So salt is known for preserving. And how is this accomplished? Well, through the righteousness of Christ. Isaiah 32 verse 17 tells that the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever. So it is through an experience of righteousness that we get this peace. And so this savor is the experience of the righteousness of God, which is brought about by His grace. That life that is subject to the will of God and seeks harmony with God by all means. That is the savor. The power to walk in accordance with the will of God. And that then transforms, brings about a difference in the world. However, the text has quite a sad ending. Christ asked the question, wherewith shall it be salted? Imagine a plate of food and the food has no salt. Then I give you salt. You look at it, you see that this is salt. You take it, put it in, and you mix it up with the food. You expect it to have its effect. And you taste, there's no savor. Its seasoning is gone. How disappointing is that? Very disappointing. Will you keep that salt? Probably not. And that's the point. The salt is good for nothing. He says it is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and trodden under foot of man. That said, you don't want to be in that position. You want to be the salt with savor. So, it is a solemn responsibility to stand as a representative of God in this world. He expects of us a lot. He wants us to represent Him very well. And there's this insight that Ellen G. White gives in Thoughts from the Mount of Blessings. On page 36, she says, as they listened to the words of Christ, the people could see the white salt glistening in the pathways where it had been cast out, because it had lost its savor and was therefore useless. It well represented the condition of the Pharisees and the effect of their religion upon society. It represents the life of every soul from whom the power of the grace of God has departed, and who has become cold and Christless. So God, this morning we ask that you please help us to stay seasoned. Help us to retain our savor, lest we become useless. We do not want to be cast out. So, today we learn to be the salt. Go out there and diffuse the earth. God bless you. Faith Explored, where every question is a step closer to understanding.